Hi everybody, welcome to Border Crossing, Episode 2, Border Crossing Basics Continued. I'm Dan DeMarco, your host. With me as always in the back seat here, you can't see her, but she's definitely there. Luna the Wonder Dog, joining me for this trip across the border. Hopefully this time goes a little bit smoother than the first time where we had multiple technical issues with the camera mount. I think I've got that squared away, but we'll see. Actually, it's shaking quite a bit, but that's just probably the neighborhood, but in any event. So it is a Thursday afternoon. It's about 11:30 in the morning. Heading across the border for an appointment. No idea what to expect. As usual, I haven't checked the situation at the border. Typically, a weekday around lunchtime, things are not too bad. It really depends. Of course, as I said last time in the first episode, you really never know what you're going to run into. Although there are ways to find out, and at some point, I'll share with you some of the different apps. And one in particular that I started using that I actually quite like. That's pretty darn helpful. So what all's happened since the last episode? Well, we had a hurricane, so that's sort of a very unusual event here. So I think the last one in Baja was 15 years ago or something. It's quite a long time ago. So it's pretty rare to have any sort of natural disaster. It's actually very rare for this area. So, but it was not too bad. We lucked out on the wind side. We did get quite a bit of rain. There was significant flooding south of here where I am, and I'm just south of Tijuana, just north of Rosarito, Mexico, Baja California. For those who don't know, they had some roads flooded out there in Ensenada, which is a bit further south. But actually up here we fared pretty well. There was some minor damage. This area is not designed to absorb a lot of rain. In fact, it sees almost no rain. And so when huge amounts of rain come in, it can really do some damage as far as mud and slides and such. Alright, anyways, heading out of the complex, heading out of my home there in San Antonio del Mar. I've got to go south here, unfortunately. As I mentioned last time, there's no north-facing exit, so I've got to actually go south one exit and then turn around. And I'll be riding on the Quoto here. This is the Route 1, which is the toll road, Route 1. There's also the Libre, which I mentioned last time, I think, which is the, let's say, there's no tolls, but there's lots of stops, and it's sort of the more commercial road, if you will, or just more like the highway or freeway equivalent. Gorgeous day here in Baja. It's 72 degrees, no humidity. Fairly typical, although I have to say the past week and a half, 2 weeks has been really pretty high on the humidity side with the hurricane. I think it's part of that, but moving into the rainy season, I believe. I have not been here for rainy season yet, so I'm interested to see what that's like. Now, the rainy season is in quotes because it's like an inch of rain over the course of a month, and that's your rainy season, but so that's the Pacific Ocean there to the right of me, which you can just see occasionally peeking through. We turn around here north into Tijuana. Now the route I'm going to take is the same route I took in episode 1. And the reason I'm going to do that, well, a couple reasons. I really want this to go without any glitch, so those who are trying to find a route and watching this just to see where I go as far as directions, there will be no stops here. There was a couple critical gaps in the first episode that I think could really screw people up if you were trying to follow that for a route. Anyways, this time there will be hopefully no screw ups. We'll get this done in one shot here. So I also was a bit sick last week, actually quite sick, and so now just sort of recovering basically now and back on track. I think feeling a lot better. There's a fit purring. You can see the power of the fit. You can probably feel it as a passenger, as a driver. It's pretty awe-inspiring. Now I make fun of the fit, but it's a good car, I guess. I get it. No, it's fine. It's a fine car. It served me very well, and I can't complain. The price was right. I got it. My mom actually gave me the car. I think I told the story a couple times. My mom gave me the car actually as a gift for Christmas 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I don't remember what it was. Really, the best. My parents, they're not rich here. They're not. They give me some of the cars really well above and beyond. But usually I get like a pair of socks or something. But I got the car, and it was really Thanks, Mom. I really do appreciate that. And in case you're wondering what I got my mom that same year, a ball of yarn. That's right, a ball of yarn. Yeah, I actually wrote a story about it. It was like a fake review of this yarn store, dude. A ball of yarn. And here's a car. Oh, here's your present. Ball of yarn. Yeah. Talk about awful. Jeez. Just saying that. Anyway, she was happy with it, I guess. Not as happy as I was with the car, that's for sure. I'm pretty shitty with the gift things with parents. I don't know about you guys, but it's hard getting gifts for parents, I think. I can never get anything right. It's always like, every time I think I got something really great they're gonna love, they're just like, whatever. That's just really hard. It's almost impossible to get something. So you can see coming up here, I mean, so here's some security forces. So this is the military police, the military police, basically, but military really. In this truck here to the left, I don't know if you can see them. They came up with their flashing lights on actually behind me. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but one thing about Mexico is the police here and military tend to run at all times with their lights flashing. They don't have sirens blaring, but the lights are always on. So you'll oftentimes scare the hell out of you. You'll be driving along and all of a sudden you'll see a police car behind you with his lights flashing. You think, oh geez, I have to pull over here or whatever, but it's not the case. They are always running with their lights on, just without any sirens. I guess there are sirens. I've never actually heard them. There are sirens supposedly when they do actually pull someone over, I guess. I've not actually seen that or heard the sirens, but unfortunately I've not been pulled over, and I hope that does not happen. But if I do have all my appropriate paperwork. I finally got my visa situation squared away. I've got a temporary 180-day visa right now. I'm working on my residency, my temporary residency. Hopefully we'll have that in short order. Obviously I got to get it before 180 days elapse. My wife just did get her residency not that long ago, and she also finally got her global entry, Sentri, which is going to really, really improve things for both of us. And that's because, as I said last time, you've got these three basically classes of people, classes of lines for getting across the border. You've got the general, for all traffic lanes. You've got the ready, what's called the ready lanes, and then you've got Sentri. And basically from the first to the last is how long it takes you to get across the border, how easy things are, how hard they are. It can take hours to a day or more, in the general lanes, all traffic and times. The ready lanes, you're talking about at least an hour, 2-3 hour waits, pretty typical at almost all times. And Sentri, it's 45 minutes. Sometimes 20 minutes is I think the best I've ever done, to 45 minutes to an hour. So it's not horrendous. It's still not great. Could be better, but I can't complain too much. I can't complain. I will, but not that much anymore. I'll complain now. Anyways, if you're moving down here, planning on moving down here, thinking about moving down here, you got to have Sentri. I mean, you just got to. I wouldn't even contemplate it unless you don't have to go back to the U.S. really at all, or if you can go back whenever you want and at a very leisurely pace, because it's going to take you forever. That includes if you're thinking about walking across, which my wife has done for many months now. It's really no better for the walking pedestrian situation. It's probably worse than the traffic situation in a lot of ways. Again, this is going to be my route, what I call my Route A, my most conservative route, which is the route that they say is guaranteed to get you to the back of the Sentri line from all points south of the border. Well, I shouldn't say all points, from points along the coast south of the border. It will get you to the back of the line, basically guaranteed, every time. Well, only one time has it failed me, and that was a very unusual situation. I anticipate it will happen again, there's no doubt about it. Things are crazy here at the border, and you never know. But we'll see. I doubt that's going to be the case today. Famous last words. Highway speeds here in Mexico is 60 kilometers per hour to 80 kilometers per hour. So 65 miles per hour, roughly 75. Very similar to what you see in the U.S. freeways and highways. There are not a lot of speeders pulled over here as far as general. You don't see people, Mexican police out here blocking people, pulling over, giving them tickets. You just don't. However, they are definitely on the lookout for reckless drivers and people who are just going nuts, because some people do, especially tourists come down here thinking they can just go crazy on the roads, and you really can't. You really will get yourself in significant trouble. But they're not just going to pull over your average speeder, because they don't really sit on the sides of the road with the radars. Plenty of that in California. Alright, so I've got a toll here to pay. 40 pesos, which is almost nothing. Don't take don't take credit cards, and there's no Easy Pass system there, although there is sort of. Hola, buenos días. Gracias. And there you have it. Instead of my Spanish, once again, exhausted. No, I'm doing a little bit better. I'm still struggling on the language. Well, not struggling, not the right word. Not trying, I guess is a better word. Which is really sad. I gotta get my butt here when it comes to learning the language here. It's too easy to get by here without it. It really is. It's such a bilingual place, both sides of the border. So bilingual that you really don't need to speak Spanish. I hate to say that, you really do need it, but you can't get by without it. Not a good idea though. You really get better at everything if you can't speak it. At least, and all you gotta do is try. Really, just a little bit of effort goes a long ways here. As I said, I think the first time, people really appreciate it. You can tell you get better service, you get better everything. If you try, even if you screw it up or whatever, they don't mind. People, especially around here, are recognize, the diversity of the population. So they're very much encouraged trying. You're going to fall flat on your face. I do all the time. I sound like an idiot, stammer around, but at least I try sometimes. I need to try more. My problem is I just get flustered. It's like you think you know something. You're learning it, right? You're doing this stuff, you're doing whatever online crap, and you're like, damn it, you're doing great. And you're like, wow, this is easy. But then you get into a real situation, right, in front of a person, and it's just like I completely freeze up. You just completely blank out. And then you're like, crap. And then once you freeze up and blank out, then everything goes to crap and you're screwed. And I don't know how to get over that. I think what I found is that if I practice a dialogue in advance, like I try to anticipate what might happen in a particular encounter, and then I kind of workshop some potential things that might go, different ways it might go, I do a little better. But the problem is, of course, human interactions. Things never go anywhere near as you plan. And as soon as the person says something you're not expecting, all of a sudden, at least for me, I completely blank out again, and I'm stuck. Look like an idiot. It's the basic stuff too, man. It's like numbers. It's just so terrible with the numbers right now. I'm having a really hard time with numbers, and it always seems so fast. Border wall to your left, beautiful rusty border wall. A nice door. Driving in Mexico, as I said last time, I think is overall pretty darn pleasant. The drivers are pretty polite. I feel like they're the equal of the U.S. or better when it comes to politeness and kind of following regular order. There is, of course, aggressive driving, especially in Tijuana, just like anywhere. But yeah, compared to some other foreign cities I've driven in, Tijuana is like a heaven. I mean, it's really not that bad at all. The roads now, that's the people traffic. The roads and the maps and such are a disaster, and they're really complicated and make no sense in a lot of ways. The signage is terrible. So, like I said last time, it's relying on Google Maps to get you around Tijuana is a recipe for not getting around Tijuana. It just doesn't do a very good job. And then also, at least for me, I've got spotty cell phone coverage in different parts of the city. Most of the places is pretty good. I actually have Verizon. My wife has AT&T, and I think if I were to recommend one, I think I would recommend AT&T for this area. I think their coverage is better overall, particularly near the border, which is where it's most important to have good cell coverage. Verizon's not bad. I have Verizon. That's what I have for work, so that's why I have it. And it's pretty good, but I do have some dead spots, particularly around the Otay crossing, which is an area I don't know as well, which really kind of stinks. Places where you really need to have coverage, you don't. So yeah, this, like I said, I guess the first time, you got 3 main border crossings here in this part of California, Baja California region. You've got San Ysidro, which is the main border crossing, the most heavily trafficked land border crossing in the world, which is what I typically use. You've got Otay Mesa, which is a much smaller actually crossing, which is further east, about 20 minutes east or so. And then you've got one even much further east, Tecate. That's the beer, Tecate, the beer you drank back in college. You'll press that grill in your Spanish class. Tecate is actually a border crossing as well, in addition to a beer and a town. It's a very rural crossing. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is good sometimes because there's never, really, I should say never, there's rarely much traffic there. So if you need to get across, but if the other crossings are completely congested, jammed up, which happens, you can run way out there, but it's a good 45-minute drive, at least from where I am, to get out there to cross. And mostly used, I think, by farmers and such, agricultural. I didn't really realize how hilly Tijuana is as a city, but it is really quite hilly. And if you get into the city, you won't see that from this route here, but there's some really significantly and seriously scary hills with grades that cannot be legal in the U.S. So definitely, I don't think would be allowed in the U.S. Yeah, a little fit just struggles, certainly struggles on some of these hills. Sorry guys, my camera started pointing up the sky there. Hopefully that's a little better. What else can I tell you about Mexico? Jeez. Well, people ask about the, of course, cost of living. We talked, we're visiting Old Town for the first episode here, but it's way cheaper here in a lot of ways. Which is one of the reasons we're here. One of the reasons, maybe not the main reason, maybe the second main reason. Real estate is just so much more affordable. San Diego is still a ridiculously out of control disaster when it comes to real estate. Way overpriced. Ridiculously overcrowded. Just a stupid market right now. I wouldn't even touch that with a 10-foot pole. Still 10,000-foot pole. Not going to touch that market. It will crash at some point, come back down to earth. But right now it's just a complete mess. Which is again one of the reasons we're here. But the house we have in Mexico is absolutely gorgeous. On the water, on the ocean, a cliff face. Just gorgeous for a price that I couldn't even imagine. Could never ever in a million years afford in the U.S. and especially in San Diego. So it's really a blessing to have the place we have. Waking up and falling asleep to the sound of the ocean outside your window is really something else. It's something I never thought I'd get to experience. Well, here's Tijuana, beautiful Tijuana off to your right here. Whenever I come through this section, it always reminds me of some like post-apocalyptic kind of movie or something. It'd be a perfect zombie. It's a perfect setting for one of these zombie flicks. Tijuana gets a bad rap, I gotta say. People have this impression of it. It's like this. Then you look at this kind of stuff to your right, you say, well, that's deserved maybe. But it's no different than any other large city in the world. No different, but it's let's say a second world country. And as far as violence and such, I've experienced no violence. I've experienced no crime. Knock on wood. I've had no close calls. I've seen no crime. It's been extremely peaceful. I was on the quote crime side of it. Pretty much what I expected actually, but I'm pretty pleased. Not had a single moment of fear or apprehension anywhere in the city at any time. Again, knocking on wood here. Let's hope that doesn't change. I did, however, have my car broken into on the U.S. side in the parking lot there. Actually, the fit here. Fortunately, they didn't really take anything of value. It's quite odd, actually. But I'm thinking they got stopped mid-thievery. But originally, I thought they had broken in through the glass of the passenger side door, but it actually turned out that the right rear door was actually unlocked. There's a fault, I guess, in the ground or something. I don't know, something weird where the back door doesn't always lock, that back right door. And so, unfortunately, some dude was just got lucky, I guess. Found it was open. See, maybe if you see the signs here, you can't see, but signs that say ready lane and Sentri. We're heading towards Sentri. Pretty typical traffic so far as volume. Already there are a couple places I could have turned off, or doing different routes, but again, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to go this most conservative route, but this most simple route too. It's got the least turns, I think, of any of the routes that I take. And it's most importantly guaranteed to get to the back of the line. Why that's important, again, if you don't get to the back of the line, you are not going to get across the border at any time in fashion or at all, because you cannot cut the line. One thing that's a golden rule, absolute 100% rule here, is that you cannot cut the line. Any of these lines, you get yourself in serious, significant trouble, potentially killed. This little area always backs up a little bit. We're still quite a ways from the border, quite a long ways actually, but distance-wise, we're not very far, but in terms of getting in the line, we're still got a ways to go. But this little turn here always backs up. But this is nothing out of the ordinary. You'll see as you get closer to the border, more and more of these little sort of street vendors showing up because people are always trying to sell you something. A lot of times you're not moving very fast, so they got a pretty captive market, captive audience. But back to cost of living, so the real estate much cheaper, utilities way cheaper. I mean, energy is much cheaper here, and still on the high side, and still $3 a gallon for gas here roughly in Mexico now, but versus 6-7 in San Diego. It seems like a massive bargain. Well, it is compared to San Diego. But my electric bill, I think our electric bill was for a 3-month period was like $5 or something, or $10. It was just ridiculous. Now we don't have central heat or central air, which I guess is a major driver of energy costs, but we don't need it, so it's been nice. And I've maybe been 1 or 2 days where I said, man, I wish I had an air conditioning unit, but only 1 or 2 days, and I think I can deal with that. And so far, I haven't complained about being cold yet. It does get a little bit on the cool side though in 1 or 2 months of the year here, so we'll have to see how that plays out. This is a good example of a road in Tijuana. A lot of roads here have these like an express side and a kind of local side, I guess is what you would call it. And Google Maps notoriously screws this thing up. So you end up thinking you're on a different road than you are. But really, what is to the right here is the local, basically, and on the express. But it's the same road. It goes to the same place. And there's little turnoffs here where you can zip over to get into the express. I don't have to get over there to get to where I'm going here. After I make this little merge here, we're going to have to take a right-hand turn, so I got to kind of be a little bit aggressive here, I think. Okay. Police here. What's going on? Right before where I needed to actually turn. I think okay. I was wondering if I can go that way, actually to the right there. I don't know if I can. I'll try that someday. I'm not sure where that goes. That's that traffic zone. I do know where that goes. Huh. I have to try that one of these days. I like how, one thing about Tijuana drivers I like, there's not all these horns honking. They're very horn phobic, I guess. I don't know. But you don't hear like a lot of big cities that people go nuts on the horn, especially when you get crowded traffic. You almost never hear horns in Tijuana. I don't know why that is. It's just a cultural thing, but you can hear them for sure, but it's just pretty darn rare. See the Sentri sign, so we know I'm going in the right direction here. That's where I'm heading. Oh man, I tell you, it's amazing when you first come down here and you first move down here, especially if you're like me, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. I mean, it is not easy navigating these roads and trying to figure out where the hell you're going. There's no help. Again, it's one of the reasons I'm trying to do this little show here. Give some help. I mean, I don't know how much of a help it really is, but at least at the very least, you could just sit. Turn the sound off and listen to me blab on and just watch where I go, and you can see where the various turns I take are, and then in your head at least you'll sort of see where it is. And then when you get down there and start trying to do it, maybe you'll recognize a few things. Obviously not the same as driving it yourself, and for me, even as I rode as a passenger, I still couldn't learn it. Just never clicked. But then when I started driving it a lot, and then I really started to pick it up, and I started to understand where things were and how different parts of the city connect and such. This little turn here can sometimes be tricky, but right now it's in good shape. There's no traffic. So far so good. We're in really good shape traffic-wise. And we're almost at the end of the line. There'll be a big old traffic circle up here, which has a lot of these across the Tijuana. And they are, this one actually is light controlled. Most are not. Most are actually stop signs, which again, you think to yourself, that'd be a recipe for disaster with all this traffic and just stop signs, but it actually works out pretty well. Again, credit to the drivers of the area. So energy, real estate, back to the cost of living thing. Energy, real estate, much much more inexpensive here than in the U.S., at least in San Diego. On the other stuff, the food and clothing and that sort of stuff, the other kind of basics, I would say is basically on parity. Certainly if you shop if you go to the Mexican grocery stores and you stay away from the American brands and such, you can live much more frugally. But in general, I would say prices are pretty close, which I know is a bit surprising perhaps. But I think there's some pressure up in the San Diego area, at least in that sector, from the lower prices potentially here in Mexico. So I don't know for whatever reason it is, but it seems like groceries are about the same. Our food budget I think is about the same. Although we do eat out quite a bit more than we used to up in the U.S. and it's much more affordable than we go out to eat. But it's still not cheap. It's still not dirt cheap. But maybe it's a function of the restaurants we go to. I think again, if you eat real local, you can get really expensive. Why is the policeman directing traffic here? This is unusual. Oh no, he's making him go there. Why is he doing that? He's making him go there. That's not good. That means I gotta get out here because I don't want to do that. Shoot, why is he doing that? They better not be stopping people from turning left there. See, there's two. I gotta turn left here. Not this first one, but the second one. But this policeman is not allowing it now. He's not allowing this. What he's doing here? Why is he here? Because the line is not backed up there. I'm not sure why he's here. All right, anyways, I'm gonna play this safe and go around. If I need to, I'm supposed to turn left if it's not this one, but the next one. But if I can't, for whatever reason, it's easy enough. I can go straight through it. And I can U-turn right after that bridge and end up in the same place. I think I've ever seen a policeman here before at this particular spot, and I don't understand it because there is no. Again, I'm looking over here. I can see that the land is not backed up. The global entry line is not backed up at all. So I wonder if they're cracking down on left turns here, which would be really sad because that would really screw me up on my A route here. Because as long as I can still turn at that second one, which is where I need to turn. But it looked like he was shunting people off, like that were wanting to turn left to go here. Let's see what happens here. This light's green now. Look at this, guys. Yeah, we all want to go to the same place. Everybody wants to go to the same place, but why is he doing that? Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Why is he doing that? I don't know what the fuck that guy's doing. All he's doing is screwing up traffic right there. Really screwing it up. That's really weird. That's really bizarre. I don't know what in the hell that was for. Anyways, that was unusual. Yeah, but see, you can't see off to the right here, but if I couldn't make this left turn, I can go. There's a little bridge under, and right there past that bridge, you can do a U-turn, and you'll end up coming out and take a right, do the exact same, and end up right where you started, right up where you need to be. Interesting. Yeah, because this is. And there you go. I just said no horns, and there you go, some horns. Yeah, so this is the back of the line. Basically, we're getting close to the back of the line. Still haven't actually backed up, but it looks like we are picking up a little bit of traffic. But we are officially now, I would say, in the Sentri line. Maybe not quite 100% officially, but. I'll be in this right lane, but I got myself stuck here. Jeez. I just went on and on about how people don't use their horns here, and here you go. We got people horning all over the place. Huh. It's usually, a lot of times it's the taxi drivers, which is that was. They get very annoyed. It's the regular drivers, I guess. Not bad at all as far as traffic. Sometimes oftentimes it backs up all the way out here and further back than this. And right now we're zipping along pretty good. They don't even have the yellow shirts out directing traffic. It looked like that one weird policeman being there. Yeah, they don't even have the yellow shirts out. So the yellow shirts are like kind of the traffic directors that might kind of maintain order in the lines, and they hand out punishment for those who try to cut or screw things up. But they think they do work. I don't know exactly who pays them. If it's Tijuana or U.S. or a combination, I have no idea. But they must get paid by somebody. I don't think they're volunteers. But they definitely coordinate with the police and others about making sure the lines function appropriately and that roads don't get clogged up. there. So he's getting ready to start his job there. Or maybe he's just packing up. I'm not sure. Oh, there's another one. He's coming. So they are getting ready to. Yeah, because the line's backing up. Yeah, there he is. So he's setting up in position there. So yeah, because the line is starting to back up, and this is now they're going to get the red yellow shirts out to make sure that intersection there doesn't get blocked, because it would. Everybody, she's doing really good. She's been very quiet, very respectful. She's doing a good job, as usual. I'm gonna play some frisbee with her when I get across the border. She'll be happy about that. Right, buddy? Still no confirmation word from CBP on the legality or not of filming or recording as I'm actually crossing the border. So I'm still gonna have to put the recording off as I get pretty close to where I actually do the actual official crossing. But hopefully I'll get some sort of a word on that. Again, I've had many people say, well, you don't know how they're gonna know, and you're absolutely right. There's no way they would know. I've just got the camera mounted on my dash. Everybody's got a phone mounted on their dash. The problem is, if somebody were to find out, and it is a problem and illegal or whatever, I could lose my global entry privileges, which would be an absolute disaster. So I'm not even going to take the chance. Don't want to take the chance. Hey, Luna! Luna, no. Come on. There it was. Just singing the praises of Luna. Now she's on the road. Hey! 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 Knock it off, dog. Hey! I don't know what her deal is. She's still got this thing with other dogs. That's just really weird. She's great with people. Really fantastic with everybody. Kids, adults, doesn't matter. She's a really great people dog. Great in every way. But there's one thing. She really struggles with other dogs. Just, I don't know what happened. I don't know if something happened. I think I might have a suspicion that was one time when I took her to a boarding place, which I think was not that reputable. Come to find out afterwards, and I think something happened there. Because ever since then, she's really had this problem with other dogs. I mean, all other dogs. It doesn't matter if they're 1,000 feet away or 2 feet away. She gets really agitated. But the interesting thing is, if you actually let her go, and like if she's off leash, she'll run at another dog. And you think, oh, guy's gonna attack her and get a big fight. But then she gets there and she just starts, kind of stops and sniffs and stuff. But the problem is, the other dog thinks, and of course the other owner thinks, this dog is crazy dog's coming at full speed, barking like a maniac. There's gonna start a big fight, and so the wires get crossed, and sometimes there can be, problems. But so we try to keep her away from other dogs to the extent I can. I'm trying to slowly break her into this problem, but it's just not going very quickly. So what, we left at like 11:30, I guess. I got on the road. It's noon, a little after noon. It's been 30 minutes or so to get to the end of the line here. That'll be probably another 20 minutes. Usually from here it's probably about 20 minutes, depending on how many lanes they have open. I've been told, I was reading some groups, I should avoid booth 26. Apparently there's a particularly slow customs official manning booth 26, which I believe is one of the ones on the far right, which is where far east, as I head across on the Sentri side. Yeah, the Sentri from west to east. Yes, from west to east, it's all traffic ready, and then Sentri. The Sentri being the far east lanes, and there's usually I think there's something like 30-something lanes total. Sorry, 60-something maybe. I can't remember the exact number, but typically for Sentri, there's maybe 7 to 10 to 15 lanes open at a time. I've seen as few as 4. And I don't know what controls, and nobody seems to know what controls how many lanes are open at a given time. It's really, I think a lot of it has to do with personnel and staffing. They just don't have the number of people that they need to keep the border open like they should, I think. On the other hand, there's also a fair amount of politics that goes into it. Some people don't want the border as open as it is, and so they tend to put pressure on CBP to clamp down, make it harder, make it slower. I'd love to put those people in the back seat of the Fit here for a few trips aboard and make them sit in this crap. But yeah, if the border operated as it could at full capacity, I think things could move pretty darn effectively, actually, and pretty swiftly. But it absolutely does not. And stupid things, stupid policies, and things out of a lot of people's control, unfortunately, conspire to make it a cluster. And more people every year are using the border, crossing the border. There was just an agreement signed between the state of California and the government of Mexico for a new border crossing in this area. Now, I'm not sure exactly where they are. It's going to be the details. But they're saying end of 2023 before that opens. That'll really help. There's really some congestion, I think. Assuming they do it right. Again, it depends on how they do it, where they put it. But San Ysidro is it's just got too many people for the number of people working there. That on the sides of it, there's too many people crossing. And you look at on the way back into Mexico, they've got fewer lanes, going into Mexico, a lot fewer, but they move much more quickly. But a lot of it is the attitude. I mean, the Mexicans really want Americans, want anybody to, people to come into the country. It's an economic lifeblood. They recognize that. They make it as easy as they can, basically, for people to get in the country. The U.S., on the other hand, it's not that. That's not the case. Now, that's not to say Mexico makes everything easy. That's for sure for immigrants. Getting residency was an absolutely Herculean task for my wife, and we'll see how it goes for me. Supposedly, it's easier if your spouse is already a resident, but I don't. So far, it's been no different. We'll see. I'm gonna have to drive all up to Fresno to drop off my application packet because you can't get any appointments in San Diego at the Mexican consulate. It's just it's been impossible to get an appointment there for over a year. And so you don't have a lot of other options. There's Vegas, but they don't. There's all kinds of crazy rules about people will and won't do. But basically, I've got to get up to Fresno, Mexican consulate, be there in line at 7 a.m. Hand off my packet of information, my application in person. I've already submitted it electronically, but that's not good enough. You actually have to hand a physical copy of the application in addition to the electronic submission. And they are a stickler for paperwork here. Gosh, I guess it's probably like this in many countries' immigration systems, but wow, I mean, everything's got to be exactly right. And it doesn't matter who makes the mistake. It doesn't matter if it's their mistake, bank's mistake, whatever mistake. It doesn't matter. You pay for it because you're gonna have to do something to get it fixed, your fault or not. And it's the rules. The rules are not printed somewhere. You can't go to a website and say, "How do I become a resident of Mexico?" Print this form out, and there you go. Here's the steps. It just doesn't work that way now. Somebody maybe could try and do that. I don't even know that I could do that. Even having gone through it now, being going through it the second time, what the steps are exactly. And it really varies a lot of different things, and a lot of it has to do with the people you happen to encounter. Because I think the rules are highly malleable and flexible and vary. And again, it comes down to, I think, a lot of times the current politics between the U.S. and Mexico as to how hard or easy they're going to make it on you. But getting temporary residency, really helps in a lot of ways. If you want to we're trying to buy property here in Mexico. To even really think about that seriously, you got to have residency. Get to buy a car in Mexico, different things like that. I think if you are going to move down here and you like it and you want to stay, you really got to get that residency. I think many people do not, though. I think it's about 80% of expats here in Mexico are actually here illegally, U.S. expats, which I find pretty hilarious, given the rhetoric you hear out of the U.S. about illegals and this and that. But yeah, most of the people here are not doing the right thing as far as having all the right paperwork and such in place. And I can see why. It's really easy to not, because you really don't have to. There's no one checking. I don't know, again, the Mexican way is not necessarily that way. It's more of a trusting way. You don't really even need a passport. That's a really kind of interesting thing. You think, I'm going to a foreign country, I have a passport, but you really don't. If you have global entry, Sentri, you get your global entry card, and that's basically what you need to get back and forth across the border. I've not been asked for my passport once since I moved down here. It's a good thing too, because I didn't have it for a while. I just finally got it back. course, now I lost my driver's license, which is another pain in the ass. But fortunately, again, I don't really need my driver's license here, at least to show it to anybody. And we're probably about, I don't know, 1,000 yards or so from the border. Moving at a pretty normal pace. This is pretty typical. Not too fast, not too slow. Put the windows down. Get a taste of the sound of the water as we get up here. Gorgeous day though, man. The weather is so unbelievably perfect. 76 degrees, no humidity. All kinds of vendors and stuff up here, selling all kinds of stuff. It's kind of weird. Sometimes I feel like when I'm in this line, I feel like I'm in like a line at like an amusement park. There's like a third world amusement park or something. And it's like there's no ride at the end. You just cross the border. I don't know why I feel that way, but. Like you think whenever you're in a line like this, if there's going to be something great on the other side, like you're in this great thing. Like, wow, all these people are in line. It must be something great. But it's really not all that great. Well, I think I made the good thing is here, we're almost there, and I know technical difficulties. It was going to be a one-shot trip here, which is great. 42 minutes I'm looking at. That's what I'm sitting right now on my camera. Yeah, pharmacies. I see that sign right there. Pharmacies in Mexico. I really like the medical system here as far as the. I'm not gonna say I like the medical system. I don't know the medical system that well, but the part I do know is that getting prescription drugs here is so much easier. If you have a semi-educated person like myself, and you know exactly, and you know what you need and what you need to do and that sort of thing, you can take care of yourself without having to go to a doctor every month or 6 months or whatever ridiculous thing you got to do to spend all that money for them to tell you the same thing over and over again. I just really like that self-care approach. Now, it's not for everybody. Obviously, some people aren't able to do that. And many people think they can and they can't, really. For myself, it's great. It's a huge relief. And, of course, their drugs are way cheaper here. I mean, so much more inexpensive. There you can see, I think, the blue roof up there, or white roof. That's the border itself. Clamatos, that's disgusting. Who would drink that, man? I'll tell you, clam juice, come on. That's just absolutely disturbing to think that there are people who would actually like that. I guess to each his own. Alright, we're getting ready to get into it. This is where you get the fateful choose your own adventure here. Which line shall I pick? I'm staying away from 26. I want to go over here. Oh, I might be this, might be 26. Close to it. Let's see. No. Should have gone left, actually. Shoot. That's right. What can you do? Alright, I'm gonna have to shut down the old camera here in just a few. Almost there.
Ay pa? Iwat na ako pa.
No, thanks. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and shut her down now, and thanks for joining. Hopefully you learned something, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Anyways, that's it for episode 2, border crossing. Hopefully, I'm sure I'll make it across the border. I may actually shoot the way back into Mexico on the way home tonight, what to see. Anyways, take care.